You have condemned the conduct of the elections in Belarus, and you've also condemned the violence from security forces that has followed those elections. But what does this mean for the future of US-Belarus relations, in particular relating to two things: deliveries of US oil to Belarus and the dispatching of the US ambassador to Minsk?
Well, we're going to have to work through that. As you said, we were incredibly troubled by the election and deeply disappointed that it wasn't more free and more fair. We've seen this behavior before, and we regret that this is how it's transpired. Then we've watched the violence in the aftermath, peaceful protesters being treated in ways that are inconsistent with how they should be treated. We haven't settled out what the appropriate response is, but I can tell you this. We'll work with our European friends, our freedom-loving friends here, who are equally concerned about what took place. We want good outcomes for the Belarusian people, and we'll take actions consistent with that.
There is talk of sanctions within the European Union. When you come to sit and think about the measures, will you also consider sanctions? Will you consider stopping the oil shipments?
Well, I'm sure we'll look at each of these things, and the important thing to note is the criteria. What is it that we believe that we can do, not just the United States unilaterally, but in a multilateral way, to deliver good outcomes for the Belarusian people, whether that turns out to be sanctions or turns out to be making decisions about product deliveries? Those are all things that are yet to be determined. We're still pretty fresh off this election, and we need to see how things settle out here in the near future.
Okay, let's turn to Iran. The United States is going to be bringing a motion in the UN Security Council this week to extend the arms embargo. It's widely expected that Russia and China will veto.
Well, here's what's important. I'm here in the Czech Republic today. Iran poses a real threat to Europe. We've seen the kind of campaigns they've conducted here. We've seen the risk of assassination plots. We've seen prosecutions for that throughout Europe. It makes no sense for any European country to support the Iranians being able to have arms. It doesn't make any sense. So we have this expiration. It's on October 18th. Our previous administration in America signed off on that. We regret that. But the world now needs to unite.
But it's not uniting, is it?
Iran is the world's largest state sponsor of terror.
Sure, but your European allies see it differently, don't they?
No, I don't think they do. I think they recognize it for exactly what it is. Well, and I hope that they will vote that way at the United Nations. I hope they will see.
You don't think you're heading for a big clash?
That the resolution that we're going to present is simply asking for a rollover of the extension of the arms embargo.
A question I wanted to ask you was relating to Russia about its foreign agent law, and it relates directly to Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, and also to Voice of America. Russia is using the law to impose severe restrictions on the way we operate in Russia. And this is something that you have condemned very forcefully, and yet Russia doesn't seem to be backing down. So what might you do now in order to ensure that we can continue to work and operate in Russia?
Well, I never get out in front of decisions that we make, but we have been watching this closely. As you've said, we've condemned it. We've also imposed enormous sanctions on Russia for other elements of their malign activity. We're continuing to look at this. We hope that the rest of the world will join us in this. We hope that those nations that value the freedom of press, who want independent reporters to be able to ask questions, even if sometimes leaders don't like them, will join with us. We think we can put real pressure and convince them that the right thing to do is to allow press freedom. We know that that hasn't been the case historically, but it's something we continue to press for, continue to work on, and continue to work with our partners like the people at Radio Free Europe and Radio Free Liberty to get the message out, to say all we simply are asking for is the right for the people of Russia and the people of the world to have access to information that is true and real and timely.
Okay, Russia's not so far looking like it's getting that message. Russia has also reportedly, according to US intelligence reports, been offering bounties to the Taliban and their proxies in Afghanistan to kill American soldiers. You are reported to have discussed this with your Russian counterpart, Sергeј Lavrov. I wonder, do you believe those reports, first of all?
I never comment on US intelligence matters, even if some reporter has decided that they think they know what's really going on. What we've said is this: if the Russians are offering money to kill Americans, or for that matter, other Westerners as well, there will be an enormous price to pay. That's what I shared with Foreign Minister Lavrov. I know our military has talked to their senior leaders as well. We won't brook that. We won't tolerate that.
So you said that to Sергeј Lavrov. So you think this is at least credible, this information?
We've made clear. We know the history. We know that the Russians have armed the Taliban in the past, right? We know that the Iranians continue to arm them today. So we know these facts. We've made clear to each of them our expectations, and we will do everything we need to do to protect and defend every American soldier, and for that matter, every soldier from the Czech Republic or any other country that's part of the Resolute Support Mission, to make sure that they're safe. We have done that.